In this tutorial, I will be showing you the second part of making our SolidWorks Christmas tree. Just so you can see my process, I went to Google and used a reindeer image, and I said reindeer, and I went for a clip art, and I picked this one down here, which I viewed the image and saved it. I then used the sketch picture option and the auto trace in SolidWorks to actually draw around there. Now if you see there's a difference there, obviously when it went through it drew this extra circle in there. Now I needed to delete that line, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get the circle for the eyes and for the nose for my LEDs through. Okay, so this is what I've finished with here. Now I've got to I'm going to bring this into my final assembly, so I'm just going to close that off. And this is my final assembly that we did in the last video, where we built our circuit board and our 3 LEDs that we brought in. So I'm going to go Insert Component, and I'm going to bring my reindeer in and say Open, and bring that in there. Now, because we brought this part in first, this part here is going to be fixed. Now I don't want that to be fixed, I want this bit to be fixed. Okay, so how I change that, if I right click on that board, there should be the option to say float. And I'm going to do the opposite on this one, which is right click and say fix. So this will stay in position and these bits can actually move around there. Okay, so that's how I go it now, actually sort of putting it together to check that all the sizes and everything like that fit. Okay, so I'm going to do a mate. I'm going to do what's called a concentric mate. So I'm going to use the circle, one of these circles here. I'm probably going to use that one there and mate that with a circle of the eye. So I'm going to go mate, and I'm going to click on the circle of the line. Okay, so it should say edge there because that's what I'm using, the edge of the eye. And I'm going to click on concentric. That's what I use when I use 2 circles. And I'm going to click on this line here, okay, and say OK, and tick there. Alright, so that's my first LED has gone in. Okay, that looks quite good. Alright, so obviously I can just repeat the same process for that one and that one. Now I want to also check that the board is going to go into the back and look okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a side there, one of these flat faces there, and again say mate. And this time I'm going to do a coincident mate. I'm going to coincident mate that just to the flat of the back of the thing. Now what's happened is that's gone the wrong way round. So if it does that, what I can do over in here, there's a mate alignment. I'm just going to click that one and that should flip it around the other way for me. There we go, and I can say OK. So all that's doing, I can still move it in that direction and up the way, but it just means that it will always be in line with the back of that. Okay, so I can kind of have a look at that. It has got a bit of a strange angle, so what I am going to do is I'm just going to rotate that slightly. So if I click on there and go right click, move with triad, I get this odd looking kind of 3-way circle. Okay, and what I can do is just want to give it a little twist on that one, I think, and just twist it so it's a bit more horizontal so I can see what's going on. That's better. Okay, so I can just move that down to that position. So I'm really checking to make sure that my board is kind of hidden behind the my image, and then it's not going to kind of be sticking out the side or looking strange. So that looks like it's quite nicely fitting behind there. Okay, and then obviously I can mate the other 2 LEDs into that hole. Now the next part of my process is obviously going to be cutting this out. So let me show you how to actually cut out this section. Okay, so how we do that is we're going to make sure that first of all that we're all looking at the part flat. I've also realized as well I've got nothing to hang my ornament up with. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open the part. So if I just left click, and that should give me this little menu bar, and I'm going to go to the top one, it looks like open folder, and it says open part. So I'm actually going to open the part there, and that's going to allow me to change it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this part. I'm just going to put a 2mm hole up the top there, just so I could run a bit of wire through there, a bit of string. Okay, so to do that I go right click, and I go to the pencil icon here, which says Edit Sketch. Okay, and I'm just going to grab the circle tool. And I'm just going to sort of draw it in the center. That looks okay. It's trying to tell me it's in the center. And I'm just going to click there. I'm going to say radius of 1 mil. So just typing down in this corner 1 mil and say OK. Alright, so that looks okay. That should be fine to be able to just put that bit of string through there. So if I now go exit, okay, you can see that's put the hole through there. If I'm a bit concerned it's too close to the edge, obviously I can go back into that, open the part, and I can use a smart dimension and just pick the center of the circle to the top line. Try that again. How strange. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to see if I can actually just grab the circle in the center and move it down. There you go. So you can just grab the center if need be. Okay, and just move that away. Alright. Ideally, you don't want it to be any sort of closer than maybe about 3 mil. That's the kind of, because that's the thickness of the material. You don't want to make an extra weak part. Okay, so I've now got my hole there. That's going to have the wire going through. I've checked that the mating works with these, and the board fits nicely on the back behind there. So I now need to make that into what we call a DXF file, so we can actually send it to the laser cutter. Now to do that, the first thing I want to do is make sure that I can see it. So I just clicked on Fit to Screen, and I'm just going to check the orientation and make sure that I'm looking at it as fully as I can. That's better, so that it's absolutely straight on. And I just went to the orientation and I just went through the options until I could see it's absolutely perfectly flat, which in this case I drew it on the front. Okay, so now I can go right click on there. About halfway down, or sorry, 3/4 of the way down, it says Export DXF. So I'm going to click on there and I'm going to say Save as a copy and open, so the last one. And it's called Reindeer, that's fine. I'm going to save it into this, yeah, again, design engineering folder, that's okay. Now what I need to do here is go into the options. So I'm going to click on options, and I need to make sure, it probably isn't on yours, but it is on mine, make sure it says export all splines as polylines. If you don't click that option, when you come to actually do anything that's curved, straight lines will work probably okay, but anything that's got a curve, when you try and bring it into 2D TextSoft, won't work. So if it's okay, so it's a really important step that you make sure it says export all lines as polylines. So I'm going to say OK and save. Now I need to go over here and to the left hand side to where it says annotation view. I'm going to click on annotation view and again click the green tick. Now it should come up with a kind of black and white version that shows me how it's going to look. And that looks okay, great. And then I do my final save. So until I push the save button, it's not actually done anything at all. It's a bit of an odd process. So I'm going to click save, and that's now saved that as a DXF file. Now to get the DXF file into 2D TextSoft, I need to just go to Start and type in 2D to open up the program. And from here, I'm going to go File and Import. And if I use the drop-down box, you can see it's just that second one. I can just see Reindeer just sneaking off there. So I click on Reindeer. Obviously, if you can't see the drop-down list, then you can go into libraries and My Computer and find it that way. And say Open. Check here that it's on millimeters. For some reason, I always want to bring it in inches, so just check that's millimeters and say OK. You'll probably get a warning at this point, which we have, which I'm just going to ignore and say Continue. And there you go, it's worked. So I'm just going to grab that and put that into that corner over there. Okay, now at the moment all the lines are in black, which means that it's going to engrave these rather than cut them. Okay, so I'm just going to grab the whole lot, select the whole lot, go to where it says line color, click on there and change that to red and say OK. Alright, so it will now cut out all the way around the outside. If there's any detail that I want to add back in there, so if I go back to my original picture, my little reindeer had a kind of sort of nose on there. There was like an oval for the nose. So if I want to add that in, I can go back and try and add that in. So I can go to, let's have a look at circles. Is there an option on circles? What about arcs? Let's try that. Yeah, maybe using this one. So if I say, right, let's draw from here to there, and then from there around to there. Okay, that was done very, very quickly. I'm sure, obviously, if I had a little bit more time, I could move around that and make that look a bit neater and do things like that. Or I could, if I want to put some writing on there or anything like that, I can use the ABC and put some writing on there. If I want to say Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas or something like that, I can do that. When I'm happy with that, make sure you save that file. And I want to call this, so it's going to be Xmas cut sheet. Okay, Xmas cut sheet, and I'm going to save that. Okay, at which point I would open up my emails and I would email that to the laser cutter. Okay, to email the laser cutter, just type in laser cutter and it should come up. If it doesn't come up, you can just type in laser cutter. Let's see if I can try and ignore the auto and go check names. If you click check names, it should work out that it's laser cutter. Then I need to attach the file, so I can go attach file, and you'll find it hopefully right at the top. So it says Xmas cut sheet, and then I can just go send, and that will send that to the laser cutter. Which obviously, at which point I can get some MDF or some laser ply, put all the settings on there for 3mm. Okay, well done. Hopefully that's all looking good for you now.